Every new author has a story to claim. Sit back, listen to conversation between Terrie Lynn and new authors wander as you let the journey begin.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to my first episode of my podcast, Conversations Between Terrie Lynn and New Authors. On this episode, I'm talking with my very good friend Nancy Pushkar, who is a newly children's book author. Nancy's first book is Ralphie Moss's Garden. Welcome, Nancy. I am so glad you're here. Thank you for picking my podcast to tell your story. And thank you for being my first guest. Now, are you ready to start?
I sure am. Thank you, Terrie, for having me on your podcast.
You're welcome, Nancy. Okay, let's do this thing. What inspired you to write stories for children?
I've always loved books, even as a child. And when I was little, we used to go to the library all the time. That was one of the best parts of my day. I still remember this one particular library and how it smelled and the sound that the chairs made when you pushed them in and out from the tables. It's wonderful. But I really think that the library and loving books was the start of my writing journey.
Me too. I also loved going to the library when I was a kid.
It's magical.
Where did the idea for your first book come from?
It was quite some time ago. I had some friends that moved from one house to another in another neighborhood in a new school district, and their 6-year-old son, not only had to leave his neighborhood, but he had to change schools, which was hard. And I recall the stories that they were telling of their son and how he was struggling with the change and the move and everything. And that always stuck with me. Then when I moved from California back to Ohio, it wasn't as easy adjusting as I thought it would be. And then somehow this name Ralphie Moss popped in my head, which led to Ralphie Moss's Garden, a story of a little kid who had to adjust to moving to a new place, new neighborhood, new friends, and then it became published. And so since I've learned from adults who have read my book, the whole idea of this, how they relate to the moving and the story of Ralphie Moss's Garden as well. So that sounds wonky, but adults relate to this as much as kids do.
Wow. It's a very interesting story how you got the idea for Ralphie Moss Garden. And I'm sure a lot of people can relate to having to move away from friends.
Absolutely.
You and I are in the same writing coaching program, Children's Book Mastery. Would you like to talk about the program? And what do you want people to know about it?
I happily discovered Children's Book Mastery, and then I signed up for a book writing boot camp, which was the best thing I could have ever done. The very first day of boot camp, I realized that there was so much to learn about self-publishing. Didn't even have a clue. And I joined with so many other writers who were there to learn about the many layers of writing and publishing and marketing your books, which is a huge amount of work and things that you need to do. And Karen, who is our teacher, she's amazing. She stays current on changes and updates in the industry. She never hesitates to share what she learns with her students. And really, what I have learned from her and from this course is invaluable. I'm also using her other company for illustrations for my picture books, and that's Get Your Books Illustrated. They're fantastic.
Yeah, Karen is on the top of everything that has anything to do with an author career. I've learned a lot from her.
She's great.
Did any real-life kids or experiences influence your characters?
Well, really, real life situations for me have inspired everything I write. So, whether it's a kid's book or an adult book or a screenplay that I've written, there's always something from my life, everyday life, somebody's life that is an inspiration. But for an example, something as simple as walking down the street and stepping in gum, that can inspire characters and then a story, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anything can make an idea for a story to pop in my mind.
Exactly.
What age group do you write for, and why that age in particular?
Currently, my focus has been for 5 to 8-year-olds because the kids that age are developing social awareness and problem solving skills. There's also this, strive for some independence, yet they're still connected to adults. They're not like totally out there on wanting to do things on their own. But I'm also working on a series of board books for infants to 3-year-olds, which I really hadn't expected. But as I said, inspiration comes forward and boom, you run with it.
Yes, it is fun to write for 5 to 8-year-olds. Wow, board books. I didn't know that you were exploring the idea of writing board books.
Yep, I'll keep you posted.
What's your favorite children's book from your own childhood?
Caroline at the Ranch by Pierre Probst, no doubt, is my favorite. The original copy that I had from my childhood is gone. I think it got loved to death and just disintegrated. But I was able to find and purchase another copy in really pretty good shape. And ironically enough, it still had the original price on it, which is $1.99. Unbelievable how the prices have changed over the years. But yes, $1.99. And my favorite book. And what about you? Terrie, do you have a favorite book from your childhood?
There's a book I can't forget. The monster at the end of this book. I don't know why, but it made me laugh when I was a kid.
I'll have to check that out.
How was it like seeing your story come to life through illustrations?
My heart skipped about 20 beats. Yes, and I was tearful when I saw that storyboard for the first time and what my illustrator Nadezhda did with the three main characters, Ralphie, Tiger, and Shelby. She drew them perfectly. And I actually will be having her do the illustrations for my next 2 picture books as well.
Yes, she did a beautiful job bringing Ralphie Moss Garden to life.
She did. Thank you.
How did it feel when you held your book for the first time?
Oh, wow. When the package arrived with my book, I took it to my cozy little writing space, placed it on my desk, and then I grabbed a box of tissues because I knew I would need them. I carefully opened the package and held that single copy of Ralphie Moss's Garden as close to my heart as I possibly could. This was such a real moment of joy. I can't even explain it. This incredible sense of accomplishment hit me in a way I really hadn't imagined. So this is a story that had been held in a secret place in my head for a long time, and now I was ready to have it face the world. And I honestly think it was my time, and I was finally ready to show this side of myself, this writing side of myself to the world.
I know, right? There are no words to describe it feels to hold your printed book in your own hands. What do you hope children take away from your book?
The value of friendship, and then not just from people our own age either, because in Ralphie's story, friendships develop in all ages. But, sharing and helping each other, helps us feel better. That is important. I also think it's important to learn that we all experience different emotions in our lives and that it's okay to have those emotions.
They are great lessons, and I'm sure the kids will learn those from your books. Have you ever had a child's reaction to your book surprise or move you?
I was surprised when I had a couple grandparents, and they seem to be buying a lot of kids' books for their grandchildren. But they told me about their grandchildren who have Ralphie Moss's book, and they carry it around with them everywhere they go, which I was pretty excited about that. I'm like, yeah, there's something that I didn't expect. But you know what really hit me was two unrelated adults who told me the Ralphie Moss book affected them because of their own having to face an unexpected move. And it kind of drove home that idea in me that although we write for 5 to 8 year olds, kids' books can still carry a lot of meaning for adults too.
So true. Adults can relate to children's books too.
Yep, absolutely.
What can we expect from you in the future, your upcoming books?
Well, funny you should ask, because I'm going to be starting illustrations for my second book, Tap, Tap, Tappity Tap. I have a third picture book, ready for editing. That's called Fashionista. I am working on illustrating my board book series, Colonel and P. Then my books about my cats, Dr. Tilly Ween and Professor Winks, are ready for feedback groups. I hope to illustrate those. We'll see how that goes. It's a huge process and a lot on my plate, but I'm looking forward to all of it.
I look forward to your next book. What advice would you give to someone dreaming of writing a children's book?
Honestly, I just say follow your heart. Even if you write 1 word, 50 words, or 500 words a day, just sit down and get busy, commit to it. I mean, it can be scary, don't get me wrong, but if it wasn't scary, it would be like eating the same bowl of cereal every day, and that would get old, right? Stories are meant to be told. Tell your stories. Get them out there. Share them with other people. How about you, Terry? What advice would you give someone?
My advice for someone dreaming of writing a book would be to go for it. You can do anything you want to.
No, that's true, and you're proof of that.
Thank you, Nancy. How can people get a hold of you and find your books, your website, your email address, your Amazon page, etc.?
Well, you can find my website at npushkarbooks.com, and that is Pushkar with a K, not a C, npushkarbooks.com. Facebook is facebook.com /pushcards /Instagram.com /ncards, npushkarbooks@gmail.com. You can find me put in Google Nancy Pushkar, and those things will definitely come up.
Thank you, Nancy, for your information. I will put all of the links in this episode's notes below.
Thanks, Terry.
Is it anything else you want people to know about you?
I'm always looking for the ultimate piece of chocolate cake, and I can play the ukulele, but I only know 1 chord. But I still love playing my ukulele.
I love chocolate cake too. I bet it's fun playing the ukulele. Thank you, Nancy, for talking with me on my podcast, Conversations Between Terrie Lynn and New Authors on the Rise.
Thanks, Terry. I really appreciate you having me on your podcast. I loved being here, and as always, always, always enjoy hanging out and spending time with you.
Thank you, Nancy. I enjoyed it too. Okay, my listeners, tune in next week when I talk with the new children's book author, Janet Ashmore, and find out what did she used to do with her sisters that was the first step of her being a children's book author. You also will learn about her books. Until then, happy reading with your kiddos.